My name's John Bentley. I'm a co-founder here at International TEFL Academy. I am originally from Southern California, but I was lucky. I got to grow up in Cairo, Egypt. My parents were lifelong expats, so I was exposed to international education and international travel from an early age. I got into international journalism and travel writing during my college days, and then sort of step by step transferred over into educational travel and into TEFL. I've been working in TEFL for about 17, 18 years now. So really excited to be here with everybody and to introduce my friend and colleague, Shelby. Shelby, what's happening?
Hey, John, and everyone else from all over. Happy to have y'all with us this evening. I am originally from Alabama and taught online and also taught in Europe. I did not get to travel internationally until I actually got my TEFL certification, and that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to get it. And it completely changed my life. Could not imagine not having found this amazing career. And now I get to help other people with their goals of living and teaching internationally. So happy to share some tips and tricks tonight about working online and just being a digital nomad.
All right. And we also got Christy, who's going to be presenting as well. Christy, what's happening? Where are you talking to us from?
Hello, everyone. I'm Christy. I am originally from San Diego, California, but I kind of started traveling a little bit and I didn't want to stop. So I found International TEFL Academy, got my TEFL certificate from here. I was able to teach in Spain, Japan, and then Brazil as well. In between my contracts, I was teaching online from home in the States as well as while traveling all over. And I am currently back in Brazil right now, living my best digital nomad lifestyle. So looking forward to helping you guys do the same and answer some questions for you so you can do it.
All right, fantastic. And then finally we got Kenneth. Kenneth will be helping out with Q&A tonight. Kenneth, what's up? Where are you these days?
So I'm in Costa Rica right now. I'm actually working remotely from Costa Rica for a month here. Been here for 3 weeks already, and it's been amazing because I've been able to move around throughout the country and really check all the different sides of it. And it's my first time here. But as far as like my journey, as John said, yeah, I'm helping out tonight because we expected a big group and we do have a big group from what we see. You'll notice that I don't have any online teaching experience. I'm gonna leave that to Shelby and Christy. But yeah, my journey pretty much started when I saw a friend teaching abroad in Thailand. And, I checked in with him and asked him, I'm like, I saw all your pictures on Instagram. Tell me a little bit more. And he explained the whole TEFL idea to me. And I just went down a rabbit hole, started researching, and within a short amount of time, I decided that I was going to get committed and get certified. And thought I was going to do it for 1 year, and that led to multiple years in multiple countries. So yeah, like Shelby said, life changing. I mean, it's a fact. It's an understatement. And now it's just so exciting being able to like give back now and help people get on this journey.
All right. So, just quickly to introduce ourselves here at International TEFL Academy, TEFL stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. We specialize in training and certification for folks who want to teach English abroad or online professionally. We offer a whole variety of internationally accredited professional level TEFL certification options. All of our students and graduates receive lifetime job search guidance. We have an entire team of folks who help our students and graduates find teaching opportunities online and around the globe. We're super proud that over the last 15 years, our organization has really been recognized as a leader in this field. We've won all kinds of awards and accolades and so forth. We're super proud of that. You can, get the perspectives of our actual students and alumni, thousands of reviews all over the internet. Go abroad.com, go overseas, Google, and a whole host of other places. So check it out. You'll get some great insights into the whole experience and so forth. And yeah, get in touch with our team, with your advisor to discuss your own personal goals and options.
And how does teaching online work? I certainly did not really have much of an idea of how it would work, other than just being like, yeah, I don't really think I'll like it. But I was pleasantly surprised, just like Christy said. And since the pandemic, it's definitely changed online education. Most students prefer now having that flexibility. And then as teachers, it also gives us tons of flexibility for your lifestyle where you can live, being your own boss, setting your own hours. So let's look at the bullets here and just run through those quickly. Teaching English online is just the same as it would be in a classroom. You're teaching English as a foreign language to non-native speaker over the internet, and you're going to need a headset, obviously your laptop, and then a camera. And most computers already have that all built in. The classroom setting can either be one-to-one or it can be a small group. It just depends on that company setup or you and your students' preferences. Both the student and the teacher are able to set their own hours, and the teacher is able to teach from wherever it is that you want to do that. So that can be your home country, or it can be while you're living internationally, completely up to you.
All right, I think that describes it pretty accurately. So let's talk about, a little bit about why you should teach English online and why there are so many opportunities. So, why is teaching English abroad or online a great way to get overseas in 2025 or perhaps teach English from home? It's a realistic and affordable way to travel the world. Why is that? There are basically 2 billion people learning and using English globally. And this is creating paid teaching opportunities online and in more than 80 countries. So people need to learn English to enhance their professional opportunities, their educational opportunities. A lot of jobs in non native English speaking countries actually require English. There are entire professions like the medical profession, where in a lot of these countries, English is the language. And then when people travel abroad, very often they're using English to communicate with other people, even if they're not native English speakers. So, English is basically the international language of commerce and culture. You will boost your resume with international professional teaching experience. Even if you don't go into education long term, this is going to look great to potential grad school programs or potential employers. You learn great skills like communication skills, organizational skills, presenting skills, group management skills, and others. Now, teaching English abroad and online, there are definitely some options to make some money. This is not going to be the most lucrative field in the universe when it comes to making money, but teaching English abroad, especially in Asia and the Middle East, you can make some great salaries and paid benefits. You can also make good money teaching English online, especially once you start getting more experience. Again, you can make a difference in the lives of your students, helping them achieve their own goals. And for you, living and traveling abroad, it provides just the opportunity of a lifetime to see new countries, experience new cultures and cuisines, make fantastic friends, and challenge your own, comfort zone and your own comfort level. So, and experience personal growth. And I think that's something that all of us who've been through this experience really appreciate.
And a little bit more about the actual field of teaching online. So the demand for taking classes online has definitely grown um, exponentially over the past decade, but I think we also saw the peak there during the pandemic, and it still stayed afterwards, just with everyone getting used to taking classes online and now having the preference for it after seeing how much time it saves them, not having to commute to an actual classroom. It's also just nice because you're able to meet and work with so many different students from all over the world because all they need is internet. So like Christy said, that's something that I really enjoyed when I was teaching online, even from the US, is that I feel like I got to travel whenever I was teaching online because I might have a student in Japan, and then after that, I'd have a student in Argentina, and then I'd have one in Guatemala, and then I'd have one in Spain. So I got to check in and have, kind of world visits through just teaching online with my students from all over. As we all know, the world definitely turned towards virtual education during the pandemic, not by choice, but the trend has continued even as everything is returned to normalcy, just because of the flexibility. It's really hard to beat. And one other thing to add too is I've had two friends that are actually working for companies. John was mentioning earlier, like business English, and not always thinking of that. But I actually have two friends who are employed by companies for international airline companies. And so he teaches their students or their employees English online because they have to have a certain level of English. So even huge corporations have adapted having English online classes for their employees.
Yeah, I think that's more common than a lot of people realize. Yeah, here's just a couple of quick graphs to show, both how English language education is really a growth field in general, and then especially if you look at the graphs on the right, you can see online and digital learning is just enormous, and that includes, both online classes and so forth, but then all sorts of, new technologies and apps and AI and all sorts of exciting things that are, an increasingly part of the educational experience for students globally. But you can really see how online educationally, especially for English, is a very fast growing industry.
And this is something that I definitely took advantage of. So teaching online gives you experience before you actually go abroad. So this is a nice way to kind of get your feet wet, see how you feel with teaching. It also gives you the experience so that you can say, hey, I am an experienced teacher whenever you're applying for in-person work internationally. Not to mention it gives you the financial boost because then you're able to have a side hustle that is making you feel more confident in your teaching experience, and then using that money to actually move you abroad. If you've never taught English before, it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable just by teaching online because you're not standing in front of a classroom. So, although I was a little bit worried about it feeling more awkward, I felt like it actually was a bit more easy to connect with students. And it's also a lot more intimate than I was expecting. I was worried about not being able to connect with my students, but it was pretty cool actually having them in their homes and their kids coming over and them introducing me to their families or showing pets and things like that. So it's still nice to have that human interaction and a connection with your students, even online. And of course, it's a great resume booster just to show your versatility that you know how to teach not only in person, but also you're able to teach online in different formats.
Yeah, and teaching English online offers fantastic flexibility. It's something you can literally do from anywhere where you have a good internet connection. So you can travel from country to country and take your job with you, so to speak. Your daily schedule, how many hours you work in a day or a week. It's all up to you. You can do it full time, you can do it as a part time side hustle. You can teach English online from the comfort of your home, either before you teach abroad or if you never go abroad. And we have a lot of alumni, and in fact, a lot of people on our staff here at ITA who taught English abroad. They moved back to their home country, the United States, wherever, and they continue to teach English online because they enjoy it and they can make extra cash.
Yes, I did that. I said I was gonna stop teaching online whenever I came back to the States, but my students begged me to keep on, and I did it for an additional year and a half. So, yes, that definitely happens. And the requirements for teaching online, who can teach online, we'll walk you through those, but really, as long as you've got your TEFL certification and then you have your equipment, which is your laptop, your camera, and then a headpiece, you're good to go.
Yeah. So, do you need a degree? Certainly, there are a lot of jobs out there, and some major online teaching companies that do require a degree, typically in conjunction with a TEFL certification. That said, there are options out there for those of you who don't have a degree, and there are any number of companies that will hire you to teach English online without one. If you do have a degree, it doesn't have to be in education. If you do have teaching experience or a degree in education, that's going to help you for sure. Both when it comes to teaching opportunities online and also abroad. You may qualify for higher salaries or pay rates. but you certainly don't need a degree or a degree in education to get started in this field. And if you're not a native English speaker, there's still options for you as well.
And as far as your certification goes, a TEFL certification is certainly preferred and often required for the higher paying companies. Language schools and online companies want to hire trained teachers. It's their name and it's their business that's on the line. And they want to make sure that students are actually paying for a good education and that they're going to be able to get something from these classes. It's their hard-earned money. And so they want to learn from trained teachers. Also, trained teachers equal happy, educated students. And I would also like to add, they equal trained teachers equal happy teachers, because then at the end of your class, you know that you did your best and that you're able to help your students because you had the proper training and you have the proper skill set. Most online companies are going to require a minimum of 120 hours. So you'll need this certification as well to teach abroad. So it's great that our certification will train you and certify you to teach online and in person with just this one certification. And then if you want to be successful teaching online or abroad, you do want to have professional training because, like I said, it's just going to make you feel better about what you're able to offer your students and your skill set as far as how to manage a classroom, the flow of it. Things are going to come up and you'd be able to bounce back and have plenty of other techniques in your back pocket if you do need to further explain with your students. But yeah, so I would definitely say take the time, invest in a good course, not only for yourself, but also for your students.
Yeah, for sure. Device requirements, it's pretty basic. You want to have a good device, good internet connection. A lot of companies may ask you to test your internet connection. You're going to need a good camera, a good headset. You don't want to be operating, with sketchy sound or an unclear camera or visuals that are hard to see. That's just going to impede your students' learning experience. You want to have a good backdrop, good lighting. You want to be professional looking. You don't want your laundry hanging in the background and that sort of thing. So, this is one of the advantages of teaching English online. It doesn't take much to get started in the way of upfront investment when it comes to technology. All right. There are all kinds of different options when it comes to different types of jobs for teaching English online. So let's quickly talk about some of those.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely a question I get asked often. And I would say that I didn't even really have a very clear understanding of this. I don't think whenever I started teaching online of just how broad it is as far as your student base goes. Of course, there are children who want to learn online, whether it's their parents wanting them to get ahead in their English studies, or often they'll want them to continue their studies during a long holiday, summer breaks, winter breaks, just like not falling behind. Or even I had students whose parents, they were able to tutor them in the English homework because they themselves knew grammar and sentence structure and things like that. However, speaking was something that they personally struggled with. So that at a certain point, their children were more advanced than they were. So they like to have a tutor to be able to help them with actually expressing themselves, which is really sweet and cool to see that dynamic. Of course, high school and college students as well. A lot of times they're going to need to take a English proficiency exam to be able to get into an English speaking university. And that is a very important exam for them to pass. And not only is a lot writing on it, but also those are expensive. So they want to make sure that they're able to get a good score on those. So taking some classes online is a big help. I also had a lot of adults doing business English with me. They want to also be able to qualify for international jobs that require English proficiency. I had students as well that were based in the US that were taking English classes to meet their visa requirements. So they were here on, I think it's the F1 visa, which requires that you're taking English classes. So I even had students that were based in the US, but from all over the world. And then, as I just mentioned, I have several friends who teach for corporations who have their international employees training to make sure that they have a high level of English so they can work with their colleagues in different countries.
All right. So, um, teaching English online with a company. So this is very common, especially when folks are first starting out. We've discussed this is a huge multi-billion dollar global market. There are some huge education companies out there in the online teaching field that employ literally thousands of teachers and, have hundreds of thousands of students. Uh, Typically working for these organizations, you're going to be provided with a set curriculum that makes your life much easier. They're going to have a whole system and a management system, like online educational platforms. Perhaps you've used like Moodle or Blackboard, in your own experience. They're sort of like that. Salaries are set on certain scales based on your experience, qualifications, and student reviews. So that's another reason you want to get certified and be trained. You provide your students with a great experience. They're going to give you great reviews. They're going to get referrals, and companies are going to see that. And so they're going to offer you higher pay and give you raises and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. That was something that was a little bit stressful is that a lot of the companies, you'll have a review after every single class. And if your reviews get too low, they will start limiting your hours, or obviously, eventually you can get fired. So, again, just reiterating, having proper training is very important. And even with teaching online, you can teach for a company, or the other thing you can do is do private tutoring. I usually recommend, even if your goal is to be moving towards private tutoring, just because you have more flexibility since you're setting up your own hours, and you're able to make more money since you're kind of cutting out the middleman of the online company. Students are booking directly with you. It's great to have the experience of teaching for an online company just to kind of get the lay of the land, do market research, if you will, on what works well with the flow of their classes and how the booking and everything works, and then what doesn't. And you can leave that behind whenever you move into your own private tutoring. How to find jobs. We do assist all of our students with finding work, not only in person, but also online. There are tons of websites. That's where I found a lot of my students, where you can have a listing about yourself. Students can contact you directly, and then vice versa. They also will have a listing that they're looking for someone to help them with an interview or one of those proficiency exams, and you can contact them. Some of the benefits are obviously that you have the flexibility of setting your time, your work hours, instead of based on what the company provides. But you would then usually be creating your own curriculum for those classes. You also have the ability to recruit students with referrals, which is really nice, and that usually happens on its own. I had to say no more. I have met my capacity after about 3 months of being a private tutor, because it's really beneficial for the students too. They're able to then have a curated class that's based on their needs and not just going through a set curriculum. But you do also have lots of resources that you will have from your course whenever you finish your TEFL certification, as far as websites where you can get free lesson plans, websites that have interactive homework activities, and those were a big help whenever I was doing private tutoring.
All right, fantastic. So let's talk now a little bit about how to teach English online as a digital nomad. And I think Christy's going to join the conversation right now. So let's talk a little bit about, moving from country to country and how you can do that teaching English online.
Hello, hello. Yes, I definitely can go into that because that's what I've been doing. The nice thing about teaching online is it gives you so much flexibility to do it a bunch of different ways. Um, My top pro tip is honestly get started before you go abroad. It can take a little bit of time to build up a solid clientele, and you want to get that before you're going, ideally. So that can take 3-ish, 4-ish months. It kind of depends on the platform, stuff like that. Ask your advisor for more details. They definitely can go into more details on that as well. Um, Depending on where you want to go and travel, how long you want to stay, you also need to be aware of how long you can stay there legally. If you want to go to a country on a tourist visa, teaching online short term, you can do that. Typically, you have 30 to 90 days, depending on where you're going, and you don't have to worry about any work visa. If you're wanting to stay in a place longer than 90 days, you definitely want to consider teaching in the country, because a lot of the countries will provide you with more of a sort of visa that you can stay there. When I was living here in Brazil the first time, I was teaching in person at a local school for kids. And then I was also supplementing my income by teaching online and teaching adults that way. That way, it kind of helped me figure out my visa situation. I could stay longer, but then I also could make US dollars that went further here in Latin America. Some countries offer a longer term digital nomad visa where you can stay longer just working fully remote. Depending on the country, the conditions are very different. So it does vary on the country. That's something you want to look into if that does apply to you or not, because sometimes the salary can be higher than what English teachers online make. It really varies country to country, so definitely something to consider and look into as you're exploring your options about where you want to go and how long you want to be there.
Yeah, those are great points. Most teaching English online gigs will pay in US dollars, as Christy just mentioned. So you will
It's
enjoy.
nice.
What's that?
I said it's really nice. Um, I was like living here in Brazil. It's like $400 for a 2-bedroom apartment just to myself, just working a little bit online. That paid my rent, and then my income in the in-person schools was more fun money. So the US dollars online definitely goes further here.
Yeah, and I think that's going to make a bigger difference in certain countries where the cost of living is lower, and the U.S. the purchasing power of a U.S. dollar versus the local currency is just going to go much further, and you're going to find that to be the case in a lot of Latin American countries, places like Peru, Costa Rica, Brazil, Ecuador, Mexico, and so forth. Also, Southeast Asian countries, Cambodia,
Yeah.
Vietnam, Thailand, and so forth. Um, so definitely your dollars will go further working in those countries, but certainly you can teach English online, in Europe and so forth as well. A lot of people want to go to Spain. So visas in Spain can be challenging. Now you can go on a tourist visa and basically you get 90 days if you're not a European to stay in the Schengen region, which is a number of European countries together, and that includes Spain. So you can just go on a tourist visa for 90 days. But if you want to stay longer, we offer a variety of teach and study programs where you can get a student visa that enables you to teach online or in person or both, basically full time, 20, 25 hours a week, while taking part time classes in Spanish or Catalan and so forth. So if you want to go to Spain, talk to your advisor. I don't know, perhaps Shelby or Kenneth can pop in a link in the general chat for those visa programs, but that's a great option specifically for Spain. For our graduates and our students, we have them teaching English online literally all over the world, but some of those popular countries where people who are doing specifically the digital nomad thing, where they're basically only teaching English online and they're moving from country to country to country, Mexico, Spain, Vietnam, Thailand, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Peru, Cambodia, Italy. In some cases, it's easier to teach English online in a country that, like, let's say, India or maybe the UK, where it's not so easy to teach English in person for whatever reasons, but you can teach English online because you're teaching students from all over the world. Also, if you get TEFL certified with ITA, we provide all sorts of guidance to help you finding opportunities and understanding the practicalities when it comes to visas in different countries, and your options for teaching jobs in person and online. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes. Okay, let's just quickly review some differences between teaching English online versus in person. And these are just some things that you need to consider when getting started in the field. Okay, so working within the parameters of a camera, obviously that's going to be a little bit different than working in a physical space, sharing a physical space with your students. You're probably going to be using different types of props. You need to learn how to dress the camera effectively. It's a little bit different. And just managing your students and keeping them engaged is a little bit of a different challenge when you're working online.
Just on that really quick, because when you are a digital nomad, you're traveling around, so you typically don't have that much. You don't have a lot of space, so but you also need to have those. What really worked for me is I just had like a kind of tapestry that looked like a map. It was something colorful, engaging, but not distracting. And then I got some finger puppets that I got online to teach the kids. Super simple, super small, doesn't take up any space. So there's definitely a lot of other ideas that you can do as well, but that was what worked for me. But yes, classroom management definitely is something that was one of the big things that scared me about teaching online to start. It was one of the things that held me back because I was like, how do you manage a classroom online when the students are not physically in front of you? I was surprised. There's a lot of different techniques and different things that you can do to help keep your students focused throughout the class. Our Teach English online specialty course goes into details. It honestly took me about a year and a half to figure it all out on my own. It's a 2-week course. We'll go into more details about that, but it can take time and practice to be able to build those management skills for online, but we do have support for that. Things you want to think of is what's distracting your student while they're there. You can't see necessarily what's around them, but are they looking around? Is maybe a parent standing there watching them or walking around or cooking? A lot of times I had siblings kind of popping in the classroom and trying to talk to me. And so it's okay to kind of address them and talk to them and bring them into it, but remember who your student is. Make sure you come back and make sure you're managing that the person who is your student is actually getting that time that they are there for. Another thing when you're teaching groups, how do you keep everyone engaged? If one person is leading the conversation, talking the whole time, it gets boring. So how do you find a way to manage that? Those are all things that you want to be considering while you are teaching English online. But there's definitely a lot of strategies that we do cover in the TEFL course and go into even more detail on the on Teach English Online specialty course as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then dealing with technical issues is something you want to consider. Again, having a good equipment, good internet connection. You're going to be able to, avoid stuff like audio delays that can really interfere with the educational experience. Correcting errors can be challenging if you have audio delays. If you have your internet break, then you have to work out something. You got to have a cancellation or a refund policy or a makeup policy for those sorts of classes. So yeah, just one thing that's sort of a little bit different when you're teaching online compared to teaching in person.
Pro tip I learned on that this last month, actually. Took me a while, but I got there. And also now they have eSIMs. So you can get an eSIM and you can create a hotspot through that. That has saved me a lot with bad connections down in Latin America, Mexico, Brazil, Philippines, a bunch of places where you experience those technical issues. There are better solutions now, but it can be frustrating, but there's always a solution. Something you guys definitely all want to know if you're here, how much money are you making if you're teaching online? You want to make money so you can be traveling, experiencing things, or you want to be making money, supplementing your income, working from home. You need a little extra. Teaching online is a great way to do it, no matter what you're looking at. Typically, teachers are paid by the lesson, depending on the platform, depending on the age of your student, depends on how long the classes are. The younger students might have only 25-minute, 30-minute classes. Their attention span is shorter. Whereas more teenagers might have 45 minutes, adults can be an hour. I had one of my private tutor students request a 2-hour. It was hard to do a 2-hour tutoring, but there's a lot of different ways that it can look. Remember, if you're doing a 30-minute class, yes, you might be getting paid by the hour, but it's a 30-minute class too. So just something to remember. Typically, you're making starting teachers, no experience, anywhere from 12 to 20 US dollars an hour. A lot of companies do pay in US dollars, like we mentioned earlier, which is really helpful depending on where you're traveling. Experienced teachers can earn over $30 an hour. It also depends on the topic that you're teaching English online with. The higher paying opportunities, teaching business English, teaching test prep skills. A lot of students need to take English exams to get into universities, to study abroad, to work abroad. I know I've seen some teachers who, after years of experience, they even are making $50 an hour teaching test prep skills. We have specialty courses for those. If you have questions about that, ask your advisor. But definitely the area you're teaching online also factors in, as well as your amount of experience that you have. You want to make sure you're getting good reviews. Like anything else, reviews are key. I don't go to a restaurant if I haven't read the reviews. So definitely you want to have those good reviews, because the companies do look at that, and you are able to get more students and get students faster depending on what your reviews are looking like.
Just
All
to
right.
add to, because everyone's salaries can be different. Chrissy, I was teaching online and I never accepted less than 20 an hour. And just a little background, I only had my TEFL certification from International TEFL Academy. I have a degree, but it's in marketing, so not a related field, but I do have a degree. And I was making 20 when I started, and then when I stopped teaching online, I was making 35. So to give reference to for just differences of salaries.
Yeah, thank you.
Christy, I
All right.
just want to chime in really quickly also. I have a friend, a personal friend of mine, who just took the TEFL course back in February. She did the 4-week course. She finished in March, and she does not have a bachelor's degree. So she just took the TEFL course. And she started teaching online, and she's up to 21 students now. She created a profile on Preply. She's up to 21 students within a month after finishing the course. And she says she's bumped her rate up to $28 an hour. So this has
That's
all happened,
amazing.
yeah, within a month of her finishing the course.
All right.
Well done. Well done.
So it's yeah, if you work hard and play your cards right, you can definitely move that salary up. But just to set realistic expectations for that first time salary. In a lot of countries, that's more than you'll make teaching English in person as a local language school. So
That's
bear
true.
that in mind as well. So just a few quick more points. Yeah, when you're looking at your timeline after you get TEFL certified, um, you can be teaching English online pretty much, right away. In many cases, you may not work full time with one company right off the bat. Very often you'll start on a probationary period, maybe you'll be teaching some hours at this company, some hours in this company. A lot of our graduates, they're teaching English in person as well. So, they're doing online teaching to start basically as a side gig. The interview process is going to vary depending on which companies, can often take a few weeks. Depending, again, most online teaching companies going to require TEFL certification. We offer a teaching English online specialty course. We'll be talking about that in a minute. So yeah, just a few other points before we move on to TEFL class options. Let's quickly get into that. We're running a little low on time.
Well, we'll get this done. So yeah, now that you've learned a bunch about teaching online, Now, how do you do it, right? I like building you that step-by-step game plan so that you can actually go for it and make it happen. So, step 1 is getting that TEFL class done so you can be getting those opportunities we've been talking about. We have multiple options here with International TEFL Academy. Um, you want to make sure that you're taking an accredited TEFL certification to make sure you're getting the legitimate job opportunities that are out there. So that way you have the skills and the qualifications to get a great job teaching English online and or abroad.
Yeah, so just be mindful when you're looking at your TEFL certification options. I know when you're looking on Google or ChatGPT or what have you, a lot of them are going to look the same. They're not. There are a lot of sort of fly-by-night operations out there, skimpy courses that are not going to offer you the training and qualification that you need. So here's some basic standards to look for: at least 100 hours of coursework. You need a course that includes live practice teaching, even if it's an online class. You want to take a class taught by, you know, professional level instructors. You need a class to be accredited. A few things to watch out for: really cheap classes, weekend classes, classes with no practicum, self-taught classes where you're not really engaging with other students or an instructor, and courses that don't provide job search guidance. So one thing we get here at ITA, every week we get dozens of people who took, in many cases, some fancy TEFL class somewhere, but they come to us because they don't get the help they need to find jobs teaching online or abroad. And that's something we're really known for. So they come to us.
Our most popular option is our 11-week part-time online class. It's the most popular because it is a very flexible option to allow you to get your certification, still be living your life, but working towards that goal. So for the course, it's a total of 170 hours. There's 150 hours of coursework and 20 hours of practicum. So you'll actually have some real practice teaching experience with non-native English speakers to have on your resume and to help you feel confident before you have that certification in hand. Um, all of our professors are professors. They have their master's, if not PhD, within the TEFL TESOL field, and they've all had experience teaching as well. So it's really nice because they can not only teach, but they can also do. So they can share a bit about their experience as well to help you feel more prepared. Our certification is properly accredited and internationally known. We have teachers in over 80 different countries and all over the different online platforms. Um, there are only 20 students per class in this one. So even though it is a online part-time course, it is not a pre-recorded one. There are live lectures, but it's not mandatory to attend them. So if you can't make it, you'll get the recordings, but there's only 20 students. So you do get that personal feel, that personal touch with your advisor. They know who you are. They give you feedback on your assignments that you have. Those are due on Fridays and Sundays each week. And so it is nice that you're not a triple, quadruple digit number. Your professor knows who you are. They help support you through the course. There's live lectures available. You'll get access to the entire video library of lectures from your professor and our other professors as well. And those professors also host office hours. So if you can't attend live, you can always pop into those office hours to ask them questions as well. The course is 1,599. That also includes that lifelong job search guidance that we were talking about. There are payment plans available, but if you do pay in full, we can get you an extra coupon code to get an extra discount. And we're also going to be announcing a special discount for all of you that are still here with us. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, so just before we get to the discount, here's a quick overview of the course curriculum. So you can really see how comprehensive it is, all the different aspects of teaching English as a foreign language that you're going to learn in this course. And as Christy mentioned, this course is 170 hours. The standard professional courses offered out there typically 4-week in-person courses, 120 hours. So this course incorporates 40% more content, which means one, you're learning more content, so you should be a better teacher. Two, prospective employers are going to see that your certification has more hours, and that should also work to your advantage in the job marketplace. So yeah, this curriculum is updated pretty consistently. We have a team of TEFL experts who are constantly working to make sure that it incorporates all the latest best practices and teaching methodologies for online TEFL courses and so forth. So we're super proud of that. Yeah, let's talk about some other options here quickly.
Yeah, so like we said, that 11-week is the most popular option, but we do have other options as well. If you're looking for more of a full-time option where you want to get it done as fast as possible, you're not working, studying, not running the kids around to errands, the 4-week intensive course can be a great option for you. It is a full-time course that takes place Monday to Friday from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Some evenings you're going to be doing those practicum practice teaching hours we talked about. Those are typically around 7:30. Your professor will help you get that set up and make sure that's figured out so you know which days that is. You will have the same level professor as our other course as well. Discuss those practicum hours, the same accreditation. This course has a smaller group. So the part-time is 20 students, really small. This one's even smaller, only 12 students per class. So you get even more engagement with your professors, with your classmates, since you are attending everything live together with this option. So if you're looking to do it quick and fast, this is a great option. The tuition for this one is $2,099 US. If you enroll by April 15th, though, you'll be able to save 200, so it drops down to 1,899.
Yeah, this is if you're want to get certified quickly from home. We also offer more than 20 in-person courses worldwide in all sorts of fantastic locations, from Guadalajara, Mexico to Barcelona, Spain. We have all kinds of courses in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Turkey, and so forth. These are intense 4-week classes, small class sizes, expert instructors. Tuition's going to vary, doesn't include housing and food, but the course staff can help arrange that. Um, one advantage, if let's say you want to teach English in Mexico, you can go down there, take the course, and the local staff will help you line up job interviews right out of the class. And most graduates are teaching within a week or two of completing their class. You also get worldwide job search guidance as well. So you can definitely take your class in Florence and then, down the line teach English in South Korea or Japan or what have you. So lots of options if you're looking to get certified in person.
So here we are at those specialty courses we were discussing. I like to think of the TEFL course as your major, and then these specialty courses are your minor, the niches within TEFL. So if you're planning to teach online, 10 out of 10, you want to do the teach online course. Like I mentioned before, it took me a year and a half to figure out classroom management, how I wanted my profile to look, how I needed it to look to have students faster, all of that. In this course, they do tell you all the information you need in 2 weeks. It's only 30 hours. Save your time, save your energy. It definitely is worth it. I've also noticed that a lot of the students who do this course make the money back a lot faster because they do have that expert support from their professor helping them create their profile, their intro video, learning more details about the different types of platforms that are out there to know which company is the best one for you to go with. If you're looking at wanting to teach young learners, whether that's online or in person, our Teach English to Young Learners course is a great option for you. Figuring out more of those classroom management strategies, how to communicate with non-native English speaker kids, even when you don't speak the language. I know that was something I saw in the Q&A. You don't need to speak the language. The TEFL course will cover a bit. These specialty courses will cover more. If you're wanting to teach more adults, you want to look at the Teaching Business English course. That one helps you learn how to lesson plan specifically for adults. Some people even get creative with it if they have a medical background or a background in cooking or something. They'll kind of shift and create their own niche within the Business English course. We also have a Foundations of English Grammar course. If you're not confident about your level of English grammar and you're going to be needing to teach that to students, we have that one for you. This one is 4 weeks though. English grammar is too long to fit into 2 weeks. It's hard to fit into 4 weeks, but 4 weeks we made happen. So if you're wanting to brush up on your grammar, that's definitely a great one for you. The English tutoring course is a great one, another 2-week one. That one helps you more how to find one-to-one clients, how to market yourself, what your niche is within TEFL. So that one's really good, especially after you've been teaching online for a little while, to then jump into the tutoring course. Okay, I've done it for other companies. Now, how do I do it for myself? The tutoring course is what's going to cover that. Final one, we got teaching test prep, another 2-week course I mentioned earlier. That and business English are two of the highest paying opportunities for teaching online. So definitely recommend taking those. These courses are going to help you train you in the different methodologies, as well as help you with different job search information and tools. They're also a great resume booster, especially these days with AI taken over everything. All of these applications, they get so many applications for online platforms. They can't look at all of the applications. So they're having those filter through AI. So having this extra certification helps you then move to that next level stage. All of these courses, all the 2-week courses are normally $349. The grammar course, because it's 4 weeks, is $549. But if you enroll in these at the same time, even though you're going to take it after the TEFL course, since it's kind of more that 200 than the 100 level, but if you enroll at the same time, you'll save an extra $75 on those 2 weeks and $125 on the 4-week course when you bundle them with your TEFL course, whether you do the part-time or the full-time.
All right, excellent explanations there. We do offer a variety of bundles for specialty courses, and one specifically that we want to touch on tonight is the Digital Nomad bundle. So this bundle offers 3 courses, 170-hour standard online course, the Teaching English Online specialty course, and the Tutoring English specialty course. And these are going to provide you really with, all combined, the complete skill set that you need to really make the most of your Teaching English Online career, and also to really prepare you to become a digital nomad if that's what you want to do. It's also a way to save some money by bundling these classes. So Christy will talk about this in the next slide, but these courses, these specialty courses will not only talk about and instruct you in teaching methodologies and skills per se, but also some of the business aspects of becoming your own contractor or tutor online, and also in person, which is something that you can do virtually anywhere that you go, abroad or in your own community as well.
Yeah, so the specialty courses that are included in the Digital Nomad bundle that we offer, they really do provide an extra level of customized training that help you succeed in teaching English online as well as private tutoring. So not only in helping you get those skills, but also helping you learn more specifics as to the business side of becoming a digital nomad. So learning up-to-date teaching methodologies, virtual learning, private, how to master technology and virtual learning aids. I know I mentioned earlier with teaching online, I packed a few things in my suitcase, but there's so many virtual aids that you can use as well different pop-ups that you can use, different games you can play, all of that good stuff. With teaching kids online, a lot of those virtual games was a great way to manage the classroom in the virtual room, because it really does help keep the kids engaged and motivated on the screen while you're teaching them and helping them learn. The courses also will help you learn how to market yourself, potential employers, how to recruit your own private students for teaching online, as well as private tutoring that can be online or in person. You really gain insights into things like establishing cancellation and refund policies. Different cultures have different expectations as to how soon you can cancel, how late you can cancel, if you don't do anything at all. So you want to make sure that you have that set up so you're not just sitting at your computer waiting and then no one shows up and you don't get it paid. You want to make sure that you have that all figured out. They talk about student referrals. So if you have a student who has a friend that wants to take classes, maybe you can offer them a little bit of a deal to help them out. They help you. And just really how to like maintain your students and get them to stay with you throughout the course of teaching. You'll get guidance from our expert instructors who have done this themselves. And they also will help you, like I mentioned, with creating your profile and your intro video, which really just does support you in getting students so much faster than if you're doing it on your own.
So just to wrap up here, let's talk a little bit about job search guidance and how ITA can help you find all sorts of great teaching opportunities abroad and online.
Job search guidance here with the International TEFL Academy is amazing. It was one of the major reasons I decided to enroll here myself. And I did test the boundaries on it being for life. So you can count on that. I did get my certification 10 years ago now. Every year I moved to a different place. I taught online in between, like I mentioned. I was hesitant to reach out. Did they actually mean it? Did they not? Every time I reached out, I heard back from an advisor with resources I needed to make it happen. So the job search guidance includes resume and cover letter assistance. It includes personalized advice from our expert advisors who have all taught abroad themselves. Thank you for sharing that link there, Shelby, as well, if anyone wants to click that to get more details about the job search guidance. We also do host occasional webcasts, trainings, workshops for our alumni. We do have job search guidance manuals. One is specifically for teaching online. We also have one specifically for over 80 different countries, depending on where you want to go, to help you figure out things like visas, like what type of visa is typical, what the average salary is for that country, what typical hiring practices look like. All the things you could want to know and more is included in those resources. We also keep track of schools where our alumni worked, where they had good experiences, and those schools want to hire our students. So you'll have access to those as well. You'll also be able to use it forever, like we mentioned. So you'll be able to hop around, do it where you want, when you want, how you want, and have real people who've done it help you along the way.
Yeah. And again, I think this is something that really sets us apart. I didn't mention it here in these bullets, but a lot of these resources are, we have a new website specifically for our alumni. It's called the Alumni Corner, where all of these resources can be found. And yeah, we have basically an entire team, and their purpose is to help our folks find jobs and opportunities, and also to help them with any issues with their class. But yeah, it's really fantastic. I think one other aspect here, just to wrap up, that sets ITA apart is our alumni community. So from the day we started, we wanted to build an international community of teachers and travelers. Now with basically almost 50,000 yeah, alumni, we have folks teaching all over the world. And so we've set up different groups on Facebook where they can connect and ask questions. We have more than 75 country groups, for example, on Facebook, where if you're interested in teaching English in Korea, you can hop online, you can ask questions from ITA grads who are already there. Hey, What's the difference between Busan or Seoul? Or, hey, can I get peanut butter in Korea? Or, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and then when people do go overseas, it's a great way to actually set up social meetups. People find roommates. People share all sorts of fantastic job tips. Um, and we
I'm
have
still
also a
friends with
very vibrant.
people. Sorry, I'm still friends with people I met in the group like 10 years ago. I just got a baby announcement from a girl I met when we first were moving. There was a group of like 15 of us who were all moving at the same time, and we met up and we all went through the whole process together. And it just really does give you that peace of mind that even if you are doing it alone, you aren't necessarily doing it on your own. There's other people doing it too.
Yeah, and it's, lots of practical stuff, but also ways to make friends, way to meet people, way to share information and experiences. And I think, one of the best things about teaching English abroad is, the people you meet, both your students and locals, but also other English teachers and members of the ITA community. We also love to tell the stories of our students and alumni. So if you want to write an article, do a video, we have hundreds of, Instagram
Instagram
takeovers.
takeover.
Yeah, so we got folks, alumni will take over our Instagram per day and show a day in the life. Hey, this is where I live. This is where I get my coffee in the morning. Here's my classroom. And also for people who are digital nomads, who, show what their lifestyle is like and how they make it happen and so forth. So, another fantastic resource for our students and graduates. Here's a quick example. One of our staff members who's also a graduate of ITA, Ambrosia, down there in the lower left corner with the peace sign. She was in Korea a while back, and here she is with a variety of ITA alumni meeting in what is probably a faux Irish bar somewhere in the Seoul area. And that's just one example of our community in action. So I know we're a little over time here, but bottom line, we're open for business. We got classes starting every 2 weeks. In-person classes start every month or every other month.
First step is going to be talking with your advisor. You're here, you're ready to go. You've asked a lot of questions in the Q&A, some of you. We've been able to get to a bunch of you, but there's also been a lot of you. So your advisor, every single one of us has done it ourselves. They can answer more specific questions. They can clear up any details that you have. So please do not hesitate to reach out to them. If you don't know who your advisor is, if you go on our site, there's a way to sign up there if you haven't already. And feel free to reach out, give us a call. We'll be able to answer your questions. So that way you can move to step 2, get that TEFL certification, get enrolled in your course. And then once you got your certification in hand, I consider it to be my second passport. You're ready to go, explore the world, get paid doing it, and having the best time.